Hi, it's Joyce from Medusa Was Framed and Morrigan a Wing channels. Thank you for being here. Welcome back. As I was making my way back up from South Florida over the Christmas holiday, I kept to the back roads on purpose. I had my compass set for black and abandoned cemeteries. Driving through these central Florida hills, the acres of once citrus and still farmland, interspersed with revolting, out-of-place housing developments that require destroying woodland and marsh, terraforming and rerouting water, cough, cough, I rolled up into this chain of lakes region, Oakland, Tildenville, Florida, which border Winter Garden, a larger town people may be more familiar with. The Oakland African American Cemetery was established in 1882. There are 777 recorded souls resting here. 777. Very powerful number. The cemetery is still open. In fact, you will see there is a fresh interment, perhaps two, when I was walking around. The land has recently been proctored to the city for water remediation. More about that later. A great many souls resting here lie as victims of the 1918 flu outbreak at a time when 650,000 people in the United States died from said flu. In 2010, Haines City, the closest large city, Haines City High School raised a call to the community for support to care for this historical gem. Their ROTC group placed wreaths on all of the veteran stones and apparently have been doing such since. You'll see there are wreaths on the stones of the veterans today. The north side of the cemetery, north of Cemetery Road, was originally Groveland, is maintained by the city. Cemetery Road is the entrance to the cemetery, but the road itself is gone. All that exists of Cemetery Road is the quick pull-in off of State Road 50. The project that prompted the title, Saved from the Bulldozer, this cemetery was supposed to be taken out for the widening of that road. It was saved by a descendant of a gentleman who rests here. What was lost was the road that went from the old State Road 50 to the cemetery. The south side of Cemetery Road, there are over 1,000 burials, though not have all been identified, unfortunately. In the early 1900s, black families in the area purchased this land for black burials due to segregation. These folks have been fighting with the city for the last 30 years now. Betty Wade grew up in Oakland, but moved away for school, work, and marriage. Some years ago, she returned and was distressed that she could not find this old cemetery where her grandparents were buried. When she remembered visiting as a child, the area was completely overgrown. She learned the county was planning to expand State Road 50, which, if you're familiar with Orlando, that's called Colonial Drive in Oakland. And this land was in danger of being claimed by eminent domain. Now, Betty, not knowing exactly where the overgrown cemetery was, but sure it lay in the threatened expanse, she went to work. She went to court. Her preparations were so thorough that the clerk of the court made her a trustee for the cemetery. I should say the judge. She saved the cemetery from the Department of Transportation's bulldozers. Yes, she did. In fact, she was an on-site presence as workmen performed their roadwork, making sure they did no damage. College and archaeological support offered use of their ground-penetrating radar to discover between 250 and 300 more burials than were listed. PVC pipes were originally placed to mark the unmarked grave. Betty's grandparents' grave is also missing headstones. That could be because of theft, which is really common in pioneer cemeteries. It could be because of flooding. A lot of reasons why. For over 20 years, Betty has worked to manage the stones, research the ancestors, and preserve this history. In 2021, the City of Oakland was awarded a $25,000 grant to work the land and build what you see as the new gate and fence. This is all old orchard land. The booms in housing development have created water rerouting, forcing flooding in an already low spot that the cemetery sits in. Pulte Homes is currently named in a class action lawsuit for their culvert construction that resulted in the cemetery being its runoff basin. You'll see pictures of that. Bodies have literally been unearthed from graves in this process. Coffins lifted out of the ground, floated down the road over these past several years of storms, requiring reburial. Can you imagine your grandparents, your great-grandparents, their coffins being lifted, perhaps their coffins being damaged, and their bones being scattered about, and you having to rebury them? Imagine that. Tildenville is the neighboring community, the cemetery serving Oakland and Tildenville. There's a sign when you pull in that says Oakland Tildenville Cemetery. Residents from both, and was named for Luther Fuller Tilden, who is buried here. He moved here with his wife from Illinois in 1876. He planted tomatoes, helped establish the first school, and the Beulah Church. Luther Tilden is also noted as being instrumental in helping families rebuild after the great freezes of 1894 to 95, when so much of the orchard land in this area was destroyed. Oakland was founded by a Confederate veteran, James Willis, where he built the first school and then replaced it after a 1928 tornado. Significant Black pioneers resting here include the following family. Sadler, you've heard that name mentioned, you'll hear it again. Gully, Tilden, of course, Connell, Brooke, Spear, Petrus, Smith, and Hill. Thank you, Betty.
I was born up in the mountain, raised by an old grizzly bear. I was born up in the mountain, raised by an old grizzly bear. I was fed by Mother Nature, and I breathe fresh, clean, natural air. I rose up with the sunlight, and the moon, she called me to sleep. I rose up with the sunlight, and the moon, she called me to sleep. My dreams came by to guide me, but they were not mine to hold or to keep. By the time I was 3, I done had me my first kill. By the time I was 3, I done had me my first kill. I learned that for surviving, some blood surely had to be spilled. By the time I was 10, I was left out in the forest all alone. By the time I was 10, I was left out in the forest all alone. Well, Master Death came by to see me, but I told him I wasn't ready to go. You can take your skull-bone face and leave on out this place. I ain't gonna go. Hell no. I'm gonna live. Go back to the river Styx. I ain't gonna go. It ain't my time to die, no. Leave me alone.